So today we're going to be taking a bit of a deeper dive look at the Quest 3S, especially in comparison to the Quest 3. And this is mainly because I think there is a little bit of, misinformation? I think people just aren't quite understanding necessarily what the difference is and what the sort of target audiences are for these two headsets. So I'm just going to sort of clear some of that up. I'm going to go over what some of the actual differences are and have a little chat about who should be buying which headset. But before we get into that, let's just quickly have a recap of what's been going on. So Meta recently released the Meta Quest 3S. Now, this headset is brand new. It is their newest headset. It is not their best headset. Just be aware. Today, you should only be buying one of two headsets. You should not be buying a Quest 2. You should not be buying a Quest Pro. You should only be buying a Quest 3 or a Quest 3S. These two headsets make everything and every single feature that is on pretty much every new release app available to you. You don't get some of the stuff like face tracking that you would get on the Quest Pro, but let's be honest, no apps are bringing that out and that support anyway, so let's not worry about that. What you do get on the Quest 3 headsets, both of them, is the best processor and mixed reality, which means you can use the newest games and the newest features. Now ultimately that is where the similarities finish, and the Quest 3S isn't like, for example, the iPhone 6S when that first came out. This isn't the sort of step up from the Quest 3, it's actually the step down from the Quest 3. It's the Lite version. It's like calling it a Meta Quest 3 Lite. That is obviously most obvious when you look at the price tags. If you buy a Meta Quest 3 today, you're going to be paying about 500 Great British pounds. If you do the same with the Quest 3S, you're going to be saving yourself about 200 pounds on that and only be paying just under 300 pounds. And this is where I think there's been a bit of confusion, because I don't think people are necessarily getting to that stage of their journey, but they're thinking that the Quest 3S is the newest one, therefore there should be some things that are better. There aren't really. I would say potentially the battery life is slightly better, although not that I've noticed. They're both very, very similar in that regard. Bear in mind you're using the same processor and you're playing the same games. Now, you are technically doing things at a slightly lower resolution on the Quest 3S, but I don't think that actually makes a noticeable difference. So you're then probably asking, well, which one should I buy? Should I spend a little bit more and go for the Quest 3, or shall I save a bit of money and go for the newer one, which is the Quest 3S? And ultimately, it does depend. If someone says to me, I'm going to be buying a headset, I'm buying a Quest 3S, I'm saying, yes, you're going to be very happy with it. If someone says to me, I'm going to be buying a Quest 3, I will say, yes, you're going to be very happy with it. The only reason you shouldn't be buying the Quest 3 is if you want to save yourself a bit of money. And then the Quest 3S is a very good option. So what do you actually miss out if you go for the Quest 3S? Well, first of all, you don't get pancake lenses. You get your sort of standard Fresnel lenses, and the IPD adjustment is those normal little sort of click 3 zones that you had on the Quest 2. This isn't terrible, and ultimately this is what's been sort of mostly used for most people in VR up until the Quest 3 came out. But pancake lenses, that is arguably my favourite thing about the Quest 3, is that you have these just absolutely massive, ridiculously clear lenses, which no matter where you put your headset on, even if your IPD is wrong, it looks fantastic. And also, you can adjust your IPD with a wheel, which means you can get it exactly perfect to where your eyes actually are. Now, doing what I've done recently, and going from the Quest 3 to the Quest 3S, I'm using those sort of normal Fresnel lenses that you have to click into place, and my IPD, which is the distance between my eyes, is actually directly between the biggest setting and the middle setting on there, so I can't get it perfect. The other thing you get with Fresnel lenses is that you do have a sweet spot. Now, a sweet spot is where if it's in the right place, everything looks fine, but if it shifts slightly out of place, for example, you're playing a game where the headset's moving quite a bit, then suddenly everything starts to get blurry and you're having to sort of adjust your headset, and some people don't even notice that there is a sweet spot, and they put it on and they just think the headset's blurry. There is a sweet spot, but it's not amazing. Now, the PSVR 2 notoriously has a terrible sweet spot. This is better than that, but it's got nothing on the pancake lenses. The pancake lenses, it doesn't really matter. As long as you get the IPD fairly right, it doesn't really matter how you're wearing it because it always looks clear. So having to get used to that sweet spot again, I'm not a massive fan, I'll be honest. Now, in terms of how it looks, because you have Fresnel lenses, you don't actually notice the drop in resolution, and that's because obviously the clearer things are, because you have pancake lenses on the Quest 3 and it's so clear, you almost notice the pixels more because it's so clear. And then when you go back to the Fresnel lenses, everything is ever so slightly blurry, and that's probably because, like I said earlier, my IPD is directly in between the settings on there. But that's what I notice, is that everything's slightly blurrier, therefore you don't notice the very slight drop in resolution. Whereas if I had that same drop in resolution on the Quest 3 with the pancake lenses, I think I would notice it more. It was the same thing when I got the Pico 4. When the Pico 4 came out and I tested that one, I noticed the pancake lenses were so clear and I thought it was amazing, but I immediately noticed how many pixels there were, because it just suddenly that becomes so much more clear to you. For example, if you really need glasses and you're not wearing glasses, you're not going to notice the difference between 1080p and 4K as much as someone who has 20/20 vision or someone who has their glasses on. So that's the first thing you have to bear in mind. Now, there are a few other things as well. I think with both the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S, I would recommend getting a third-party head strap. The head strap that comes in the box is okay, but on the Quest 3S especially, because of the way the weight distribution is and the fact that it comes out further like the Quest 2, it just feels like a lot of pressure on your face. When I was using the strap that came out of the box, I immediately noticed it. I noticed a lot of pressure on the front of my face. I noticed it almost giving me like headaches, because I was having to have it, in order to keep it stable, I had to have it quite tight, and then I'd have the VR face when I took it off. So I would probably recommend either getting a head strap like this one. This is the Globular Cluster head strap that they kindly sent me, and is actually very, very nice. But this puts all of the weight onto your forehead with this really nice padding. Now, that is a much nicer way to have your headset, because you have this big pad at the back, big pad on top, and actually very little pressure is on your actual face from the actual headset itself. Or you could go this route, like this Kiwi Design one. This is a battery head strap by Kiwi Design. Again, one of my favorite head straps, but for a completely different reason. Now, because this one has this big old battery on the back, it actually makes the whole thing heavier. However, instead of having all of the weight sitting on your face, it actually balances the weight a lot better. So you end up having much more weight on the top strap, and therefore it doesn't feel quite as intense on your face. You still do get a bit of pressure on your face, and in order to keep it stable, you want to be relatively tight. You don't feel the weight of it on your face, you just feel this sort of secureness. So what other differences are there? There's no headphone jack on the Quest 3S. Now, I've heard a lot of people getting really upset about this. I don't really understand why people get so upset. The actual speakers that are on the VR headset are quiet enough that you can't really hear what's going on if you're sat in the room. It's really quiet because it's so close to the person's ears. And the sound is actually good enough to sort of enjoy. It's not bad sound coming from those speakers at all. They actually sound pretty good. Now, you get a more immersive experience if you have headphones on. However, I think if that is the case and you're really sort of striving for the most immersive experience, I'd probably recommend going for the Quest 3 over the Quest 3S anyway, because you're going to get a better experience with the Quest 3. And then you can then plug your headphones in. If you're just sort of entry level to VR and you're sort of getting started and you just want to have enough to keep yourself level with other people and to be able to play the games that are coming out, then the Quest 3S, get that one. You don't really need headphones. I don't use headphones when I use my Quest. It's just not a massive priority to me. But if it is a priority to you, you probably should be getting the Quest 3 anyway. Now, there is a way of using headphones with the Quest 3S. You just have to use the USB port. So either you can get an adapter that plugs into the USB-C port on the side of the headset for charging, and you can use that and plug headphones into there. Or you can get a very specific type that actually lets you charge whilst you're doing that as well, which means it sort of splits into a charge port and a headphone jack. Obviously, it's stuff that you have to buy extra, which isn't ideal, but it is an option for you if that's the way you want to go. In terms of Bluetooth, the Bluetooth on both of these headsets isn't good enough to support low latency audio, so you probably couldn't do that. If you had a set of headphones that had a sort of USB-C adapter that you could plug into the side of the headset, you could use that very well. So for example, I've got some Sony InZones, so if I plug that via USB-C into the USB-C port, that would work. However, they're not USB-C, they're USB-A, so I need another adapter. It's just a bit of a faff. I wouldn't worry about headphones if you're getting the Quest 3S, and if you're going to do it, make sure you get wired ones. In terms of mixed reality, honestly, I think the mixed reality on both of them is very, very good. I know there is one less sensor, so they've lost the depth sensor. I actually didn't notice any moment when the Quest 3S was worse in mixed reality. Maybe I need to sort of look at it more, but I'm pretty sure the mixed reality functionality on both of them is identical. They both work very, very, very well. I've been playing a couple of games mixed reality wise. Now I've got 2 headsets. I'll probably try and get someone around to play some actual on-site mixed reality games. I think that'll be really cool. Haven't got around to doing it yet, but that's in the pipeline. One game I have managed to play, and I might release a video about it sort of coming up, is the new Batman Arkham Shadow. So far, so good. I haven't got massively far into it, so I'm not going to give like a review of that game right now, but it looks really good, and it's sort of what you'd expect from this sort of generation of VR. It's not, I don't think, level to some of the PC VR games, for example, Half-Life Alyx, but it looks really good considering that it's just on a standalone headset.
I'm Batman.
Alfred, what's the situation?
Quite the rat infestation, sir. GCPD sent a squad to flush them out, but the police have gone silent.
Oh yeah, Batman here to stay. My name's Batman, I am here. Yeah.
And a lot of the sort of game mechanics do feel very Batman Arkham gamey. I don't think yet it's gotten to a point where it feels open world. I don't know whether it is open world at all. It feels quite linear. I haven't got that far into the game, so I'm not going to put not much worry on it. But it just feels like it is a good, fun game. And the fact that if you buy one of these headsets at the moment, you get that for free, that is awesome. Now, if you are umming and ahhing about which one you want, I basically am going to summarize which one you should buy. If budget isn't an issue for you, so if it's not about which one's going to save you the most money and you want the best experience, get the Quest 3. It's the one that I will keep, it's the one that I prefer to use, and it's one that I will use going forward, unless I'm doing particular things or I need 2 headsets. If you want to save yourself some money and get the slightly not as good headset, but you think those sort of sacrifices are justified, bearing in mind it is an extra £200 to get the pancake lenses and the slightly different form factor, then at that point get the Quest 3S. People, if you're buying this as a gift for someone, if you're buying it for your kids, the Quest 3S is going to be probably the best option for you, because it gives you all of the things that you want to do. The actual physical mechanics are a bit more affordable. So it's got the more affordable lenses and the slightly bigger shell. You don't have a headphone jack, all of that stuff. But the actual stuff that it can do is exactly the same. So if someone's getting into VR, into mixed reality, and they want to sort of step in, but they don't want to sort of invest £500, because that's a lot of money. That's the same price as a PS5, for example. So if that's the way you want to go for a Quest 3S. The other thing to bear in mind is storage, because obviously there are different levels of storage with these headsets. If you are new to VR, you could probably get away with 128 gigabytes, because I use 128 gigabytes and I've got to my limit, bearing in mind I also record footage directly onto the headset too, and I get to my limit on the headset. However, it is quite easy to delete apps and then reinstall them at a later date, so if you're not playing, you're not probably going to be darting between more than 5 or so games. But in terms of future-proofing, newer games are going to be much bigger in size. So these games that this new processor can handle, you're probably going to find are actually bigger games. So if you want to jump up in storage, I wouldn't knock that as a thing. I would say that's probably a good idea. Now, if you get the Quest 3 now, you will get the bigger storage. You can't get a 128 gigabyte Quest 3 that I got, because that's just not available. Now you get over 500 gigabytes. Whereas the Quest 3S, 120 gigabytes, unless you're going to be getting a lot of games, I wouldn't worry massively about the storage size. It's a quality of life thing. Do you want to have to be deleting apps, or do you want to have as many on there? If you're buying this for a lot of people to share, so if a lot of people are using the same headset, get the bigger storage, because you'll start getting annoyed when people are deleting your app so they can play on it. Or if you're using this to demonstrate VR to a lot of people, or you're using it as part of like a youth club or something like that, then get the bigger one, because you'll be able to get more options on there in terms of games. I hope that makes sense. But if you guys have got any questions about either of these headsets and you just want to know, stick them in the comments below. I do have an affiliate link down in the description, so if you're planning on buying one of these, you can get £30 of Quest cash if you use my link, and also it does support the channel, helps me continue to make these videos, so I'd appreciate that too. But for the moment, that is everything. I'm going to continue playing with and testing these headsets, so if anything else pops out to me and I think I need to share it with you guys, so make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell for more notifications of videos from me, and I appreciate it if you like the video. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Whoop!